Hi, looks like we're live. Welcome to this week's Vercel community session. I'm Amy. I'm on the community team here at Vercel, and I'm going to be your moderator for today's session. Today, we're going to hear from Noah about how V0 became the CPO, that's Chief Prototype Officer for whatAIdea. If you feel comfortable sharing where you're listening from, please let us know in the chat. We love to see where everyone's tuning in. And of course, feel free to share any comments and questions throughout the session. We'll get to those at the end. Before we begin, I just want to remind everyone of our community code of conduct. You can find that linked up in the top in the site nav and down at the bottom in the footer. And I just, want to remind everyone to keep it a positive, respectful environment for everybody. You always do, but I have to remind everyone just to be sure. So now let's welcome our speaker for this week's session. Hey, Noah.
Hey, Amy. Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. Hope you're good. Really excited to obviously go over a bit more of how V0 has been really impactful for us here at whatAIdea and my journey.
You guys are doing some awesome stuff. I'm going to get off the stage and let you take over.
Great. So a bit about me. I'm Noah. I started a company called whatAIdea. We specialize in document summarization and also support many different clients across the space. And V0 has been incredibly impactful for us. And we even give it a title for our team called obviously the Chief Prototype Officer. So agenda today. So I'm just going to go into a bit more detail about me, my background. Then I'm going to probably go into a bit more detail about, the story as to how V0 was valuable for us. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a brief demo to show you a bit more how impactful V0 can be across the space. So a bit about me. So I run a successful software development agency called Born and Brand. We specialize in MVPs, websites, and software development for different clients across legal, finance, medical, as well as many other startups. And V0 has been very impactful there. Then also, as I mentioned before, I run whatAIdea, which is a software as a service platform where we specialize in large document summarization, particularly in sales enablement, as well as defense and cybersecurity. And then lastly, I've got a sales direct-to-consumer platform called Gary, who specifically focuses on supporting developers with sales and marketing strategies that they may be stuck with. So how did we get here? Well, the problem started about, I'd say, a couple months ago. The challenge was obviously like any other business, it has a similar challenge, which was, spending a lot of time on, pipeline, driving sales, trying to bring in clients, trying to grow. But the issue being not really getting the results or the output of what I expected or what I was trying to look for out of the process. So a great example of this is, I spent over 8 years working in enterprise sales. And when you have a major brand behind you, it's a whole different process of how to sell, how to pitch, and also how to be honest, win and land clients. So I felt like I spent well over 100, times more, but really not getting any clients apart from particularly just an hourly consultation where a client would pay me how to obviously, scale up, how to build an AI chatbot, how to work better. The majority of my clients, I'd say the feedback must have been when I started to look on it was lack of technology.
Hi, Noah. Sorry,
Yep.
sorry. We're having some issues in the chat. People said that they can't see your slides. So I think now that I'm on, I'm seeing that it's there. Can someone confirm in the chat that you can see the slides? Ah, here we are. Okay, we're back in business. I'll remove myself from the stage now. Over to you, Noah. Sorry.
No problem. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, the problem, working 100 times more, but not getting any clients apart from hourly consultations. Now, majority of my clients, I'd say there was some variables. Some people were like this, some people weren't, but I'd like to summarize a bit more about what happened. So I'd obviously start, I'd, have a, brief, scoping call. I'd really understand what they needed. I try, and support them in the best way I could. But then some of them just really had a lack of technology, really didn't understand, how long it would take to build something. They just had a bit of a concept, an idea. They really wanted someone to probably trust them and really take them through the journey of that. The other point being too boring. Of course, if you're trying to explain documentation about APIs or how an API works or how a large language model works, it starts to get a bit, in my opinion, boring sometimes, coming from a sales background. And then also the low attention span. If you're going over 20 slides about many different examples of how you should really be building a solution, in my opinion, it starts to get to a point where the attention span tends to veer away. So then I had a bit of a light bulb moment. I thought to myself, well, what if I flipped the scripts a bit and think of it more of a different approach? So the thing I noticed, and I started to notice, is the further and further scoping calls I had. At this point, I had way too many calls of scoping calls of people who were interested, but really just wanted to pay an hourly session with me. And what I noticed was the majority of clients were highly visual, often unaware that 80% of software development happens behind the scenes in the back end and the architecture of the foundation. So, like building the diagrams, understanding a bit more of how the project should get started, and really defining a bit more of what should be done in that way. So, I started to question this and thought, well, what if the client could see um, the live visualization of their solution in action. And at this point, I was like, oh, well, if they're trying to see the live visualization, what if that could be done in a better way? And these were the metrics I started to get. If you can see the screen, great. But yeah, I'll try and describe it a bit more. So I went from less than, I'd say, 2% conversion, again, mostly hourly consultations, to well over 87.5%. So you can see the proof is in the pudding. And this was what I call the visual proof of concept. So for in total 7 out of 8 clients confirmed and wanted to move ahead to the next stage of the sales cycle. And we're talking about coming up with proposals, and we're talking about talking about the price as well, with them being very happy and wanting to pay. Again, an absolute phenomenal number and really impressive stats. So the average pitch from all my competitors, from anyone I ever, to be honest, really looked at in the software development world, and also with startups, would be case studies. Here's an example of a great person I did work with. Testimonials. Paul, Tom, whatever we want to call them, has said, I'm amazing. Pain points being it wasn't really bespoke. Every client really felt like their solution was personal, and also it wasn't visual. So against the visual pitch V0, quick validation. I jumped in, only spent maybe 15, 20 minutes using V0, or in some cases, maybe 1 to 3 hours at most, to build a proof of concept that really helped from a proposal perspective. Fast scope, felt bespoke. The client really felt like I understood what they wanted, and more importantly, really understood what it looked like from a visual perspective. So here's a great example. We work closely with a compliance and cybersecurity company based here in the UK. They're a great partner of ours now. At the beginning, this took a bit of convincing, but you can see here it was a proof of concept where I built them a very nice looking app dashboard where it was more about NIST compliance. So this is more about cybersecurity and how document summarization could be used in that instance. Client loved it, signed, we moved forward. We're still working very closely with them on a 12-month contract. Here's another example from my software development agency. This is a legal tech firm based in London, a startup. We were competing against one of the leading software development companies based up north. We won the tender and the RFP, again, thanks to V0 and Vercel process. This is another example we had. So this one was more a change consultant, transformation expert. She wanted an app built. And again, we were up against, I'd say, 3 to 4 different development agencies. And then this is Gary, the landing page, powered by V0. Exciting, great stuff. Now I'm just going to jump in and do a demo for you all. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
You're on mute, Noah.
Just loading V0 at the moment.
All right.
Now, what I'm going to do at this point, I don't think I can see the chat conversation of everybody, so I'm going to try and see if I can find it.
I can share stuff if you want.
And yeah, I'd like to see if anyone in the crowd would like a personal website portfolio built about them.
All right, who's going to volunteer? All right, it looks like we have a couple of volunteers. Who do you want, Noah?
I think we should go with, it looks like the doctor there, Edvin or something, the guy that looks like a doctor.
All right, let's go with Edvin. All right, and what are we going to build?
So what we're going to do as an example is we're going to build a website based on this Edvin PL. I'm just going to share my screen. Give me a second.
All right. Can everyone see it? Are we good?
Great.
Hi.
Edvin PL, if you could kindly share just a simple link maybe of a bio or just a simple website for us just to capture a bit more about you as a starting point.
All right, it looks like we have a description posted in the chat.
Great. And we've got a YouTube channel link as well, it looks like.
Amazing.
Hey folks, I'm jumping in here because we're still having this white screen issue. Let me just remove, can you reshare, Noah?
Yeah, I'm going to try and reshare.
That's fine. Oh, you see it? Can you folks see this?
All right, everyone can see it now. Sorry about that, folks.
Amazing. Okay, so I've got on the left-hand side, I've got Anthropic's Claude. On the right-hand side, I've got V0. And I'm just going to paste the simple summary bio about the doctor and see if we can get a detailed product requirements document, which is just a simple way to describe when you're building an AI solution or when you're doing software development, the instructions on how to build something. So I'm just going to start that now. Great. So what's happening now is Claude is generating a product requirements document. Give it a couple of seconds. And our aim here is to get a simple 1-0 shot off of this. So once this finishes, likes to take its time a bit nowadays, as I think everybody's using Claude more often than ChatGPT. I think we're done. I'm going to say here, make me a website based on this PRD. Come up with a cool name and strapline. Use British English. And now we just wait for the magic to happen, especially now V0 does thinking, which is a new, I think it was only a couple of weeks ago when you launched this new feature. So again, what we're doing at the moment is I'm not writing any code. I'm just sending the prompt that came from Claude directly to V0. And now V0 is going to make us an amazing website based on this doctor that requested it in the chat. The company name is called Mindful Founders. No, it's just finishing the call to action section. Let's hope the demo works. I think the last session I was in, there was a bit of an issue on the demo side of things.
You never know with AI. It's usually amazing, and sometimes it has a mind of its own a little bit.
So now it's already done the global CSS. Now it's just finishing the footer. It's done already the whole page layout. Oh, there's even a testimonial card. So when I originally worked with this, it used to take me quite a long time to build these websites. And then I started to spend more time with Claude and prompt engineering a bit more. And then I realized it's a lot easier if you spend more time on the detail at the beginning and then less time on the tweaking, as particularly with your new thinking step, it's made it a lot easier.
While we're waiting on it to do its thinking, do you have any other tips for how to come up with the best possible prompt in the first place? Because this is going to be amazing. This was 2 prompts, and we're going to have a whole site.
I'd say I usually have a step before this, but because of time constraints, I haven't set it up. But usually I start with Perplexity's reasoning model, and then with there, I ask it to build me a psychographic profile on that individual. And then from that, I then send it to the PRD. So it's more of a 3-step.
That's
But I'd
awesome.
say, yeah, it is taking a bit of a while, but let's hope it finishes soon.
I love seeing how people come up with their workflows for this because, in tech, you're so used to programmers and dealing from a technical perspective. And I love how much these AI tools are bringing out business-minded people and all of the things that they want to build and the different paths forward. So I love this.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I think when I started this, I was using Squarespace, I'd say, when I started really website development and website design. And it was exciting and it was great. But after a while, it's very obvious that it's a Squarespace website style. Like there's a specific
Mhm.
theme and a look and feel that it has. Whereas with this kind of thing, it's almost like whatever's in your mind, whatever you're most creative about it, just crack on. Now just doing the fonts, hopefully we're at the finish line. Ah, it's done. There we go. Let me just put this on full screen. There we go. Mindful founders supporting the mind behind innovation, feature insights. Oops. There's no links to the videos, obviously. Specialized services, one-to-one consultations, founder group sessions, AI founder focus, some founder stories of founders that got support via this medical doctor helping with AI startup people, and then a nice resource hub, and then also subscribe. And then obviously the
And
footer.
we can note that it also does not look like a Squarespace site. So that's good.
And I will just probably try my best to drop this in to the chat so everyone else can see it. There we go. I think that's the end on my side of the presentation, so I think I'm ready, Amy, for Q&As. I think you're on mute.
You're right, I am. I was just checking the chat. I know there was a couple of questions that are more for the V0 team. Is there anything that y'all want to ask Noah specifically? Otherwise, I'm going to start with some of the questions that I have. And as things pop up, we'll ask them. All right. I mean, the first thing that I want to ask is what types of projects does your team usually work on? Is there a specific kind of niche that you work with, or kind of just all sorts of businesses?
We actually work across the board, across the range, I'd say. We started building for whatAIdea, obviously for document summarization. Then the pain point was it was incredibly challenging to find developers with AI experience. I
Mhm.
interviewed many, believe me. And through that, I realized maybe other startups had the similar issue. And then people started to turn around to me and start asking me, look, can we pay you to help us build X, Y, Z with our solutions? And I think the rest is history. From an industry perspective, we tend to focus on individuals or startups that I'd say at the early phases. So they've either tried to build a proof of concept or have a kind of idea of what their MVP should look like. And then we take full ownership from there all the way to full app being built with user database authentication and even payment integrations. Hope that answers it.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like we do have a question in the chat. Why ask Claude for the PRD and not directly V0?
So when I first started this, I asked V0 for the PRD, but the thing is, it gets quite excited and it tries to build the website itself. So I think I had an example where once I asked to do a PRD and then it made a website of PRDs. That's a
Yeah.
great example. I think from all the AI models, Claude definitely is by far the best when it comes to coding and understanding developers and really jumping straight in when it comes to software development. So I
Okay.
just went for the best.
Sounds like kind of using tools for a more targeted purpose, whereas Claude is doing one thing, V0 is doing a different part of that workflow. That's a fair answer. What are the pain points that you find when closing deals on projects, and how is V0 helping with that?
From a pain point perspective, the biggest pain point was definitely closure of business. Where, as I said before, I went from less than 5%, even 5% is a nice number to have, of closing clients to now well over almost 87%. So I'd say you can round it up to 90% conversion rate because people are visual. We live in a world where someone wants to see what, before they pay for something. Almost like, when you go to a shop and you look into a window in a shop and you're like, oh, I really love those trainers. I want to buy those trainers. And you save up a bit and then you go and buy them the following month.
Oh, another question from the chat here. How easy is it to generate a multi-page application using Claude and V0? It seems like a single-page application was created, but I was wondering how this transitions into a more complex multi-page application. I'm used to building with Copilot as I go, but not generating a project from the ground up.
Yep, so that's a good question. I have one just based on this. Let me see where it is. Yep, pitch perfect. So this actually took only 2 iterations, and I tweeted about this. So a friend of mine actually sent me a picture, funny picture, which is this one, which is called the 1-minute pitch. It's meant to help you, with these 5 steps, how you should be pitching your business. Just to, a 60-second elevator pitch. You should say what your company is and all of this. And all I did was I just said to Claude, like, make me this app in Next.js. It gave me the PRD again, which I pasted in here, and it built it. So this is a whole, I'd say, multi-step application. It's not just a website landing page as we had earlier. So if I go on there, look, you can even put in the company name. You can say what I'm selling, the secret sauce, market, and then you can see it all, fills out. I'm just trying to speed up the process a bit to show someone what it looks like. So competitors, and then I'm just going to hit analyze pitch, document summarization, secret source, our own PDF processing. And again, this was all done by V0. Current state, 10 users, 100K in sales.
Hey folks, sorry, me again. I'm here to try and fix this white screen. I'm not sure what's going on. For yeah, so it shows up once I join the studio. It clearly needs me on the on the stream. Hold on. Can everyone see this now? It's fixed now. Should I just stay on?
Just stay. Yeah.
Oh no, the white screen is back.
Oh no.
Okay, hold on. Let me rejoin once. No. Oh no, it's back. We're good. I can see it now.
Nice. So this whole
Carry on
time, no
going.
one could see my screen. Okay. So this is it's called Pitch Perfect. It's a simple Next.js app, proof of concept, based actually from a PRD and one picture. And all it does is it helps you validate and give you a really good, I'd say, 1-minute pitch on what your business is. So I'm going to say here, so you just fill out these details. And then if I'm going to say differentiator, we are awesome as X Apple and X Google's. There you go. And a nice pitch. And look at that. So it even analyzes your pitch for you. So it's giving me a 78 out of 100. And this was literally, again, not zero shots. It's a bit unfair to say that. 2 versions. I asked the second follow-up was just please embed this picture into the landing page. And then if I go here, you can go to leaderboard. No, that one's not built yet, I don't think. Let me refresh. Let me go to leaderboard. Oh, dashboard. Yeah, here it is, dashboard. So here you can see all the other pitches that you're competing against. It's almost like gamified. I hope that answers the question.
We have another good question. Curious to know how you deal with tech debt in client projects created by AI. Do you keep helping others continually on a retainer, for example?
Tech debt, that's a good one. What do you mean by tech debt? It could mean many different things. But for me, I think tech debt would probably be dependency issues or bugs when it comes to some APIs. I'd say how we deal with it is yes, definitely monthly retainer. If a client wants to continue working with us, they can pay the monthly retainer that we charge, or they can decide to go on an hourly rate. But we don't obviously recommend the hourly rate, as it's quite pricey for them in some instances. So that's how we handle it.
Is there any client project that you said no to because AI wasn't ready to be able to handle what they needed?
I'd say not yet. No, not
Nice.
yet. But I'd say if you asked me that question 7 months ago, then I would have said many different times yes.
Yeah.
We've moved a lot since then, particularly with V0, um, with Windsurf, and all these other ones in Cursor.
Awesome. Another question from the chat is, do you sometimes use Claude to help you adjust code in ways V0 is struggling with? If so, what's your workflow for that?
So I typically, if I'm going to deploy, next steps on something like this onto Vercel, obviously you've got the error messages if it doesn't deploy, TypeScript errors, whatever it is that comes up, the red lines that appear. I sometimes tend to send those error messages first to Claude, and then I ask Claude to describe what the error message is and what the root cause could be, and then I paste the response from Claude back into V0. So it's almost like Claude translates the issue first, and then I paste that into V0.
Nice. And so, as far as your team, how are you balancing speed and efficiency with quality in the apps that you build? Because we all know the faster you go, you have to give on something. So, how are you kind of finding that optimal balance?
So when it comes to client builds, we tend to move off of V0, and we migrate it into a development environment. So obviously in the top right hand corner, you've got the little fork button, or you've got the um, where is it? The three dots. Yeah, there it is. Add to code base. So copy that in, and then immediately you put it into a development environment. And then from there, we obviously optimize, we tweak, we make sure everything looks good, and we're happy with obviously the front end and the look and feel, and we take it from there.
What advice would you give to other teams considering adopting V0 for their projects, or other individuals considering adopting V0 for, similar purposes?
I'd say start with a project, have some fun with it. Don't jump straight in from a monetary perspective. Think of it more like I want to build a website about myself, or I want to, do something about, I don't know, my family or a friend of mine who's trying to launch something. Start small and then scale it from there. Start to learn how you're building. But anyone can adopt this method and this approach, as you can imagine. A proof of concept or an MVP when it comes to pitching a solution to a client is way better than just turning up with, like I mentioned before, a very boring PowerPoint presentation and a couple of case studies, and this is how great we are.
Yeah. So when you're building for clients, are you, I think you already mentioned, kind of just focusing on the front end? Is there anything specific that you would recommend that folks focus on for this type of pitch?
I'd say focus on who the client is and what exactly they're trying to achieve. If you can convey that message in the best way possible from a front end perspective, if it's just a couple of buttons, I'm confident that you will most likely be able to uncover even more at the next stage of the meeting with the client.
Awesome. Um, I'm gonna, I guess, selfishly ask, how do you improve your prompts? I love this question because I learn so much every time we ask people. So,
So prompting itself has been going on for quite a while. For me, I tend to just ask Claude, like anything else, to just improve what I'm about to convey the message of, and almost take a step back. I like to make it almost like a joke of, the movie Inception, where they jump into different levels of dreams and so on and so forth. So you just keep taking a step back and maybe asking another LLM what their feedback is, and just keep iterating. I believe in design world, I believe you call it roasting, right? But you want to roast somebody's front end design or roast their website and say, look, your website's terrible because of this, this, and this. So in the same way, you can all obviously ask an LLM and say, can you please roast my prompt for me? Tell me how I could make it better. That's what I sometimes do as well.
Smart. And what I have to ask is on your V0 wish list. What do you want me to make sure that the team knows?
If possible, before we deploy on Vercel, particularly if I'm launching a website or something for a specific client, almost have a process where it tells you immediately it's not going to deploy because there's some bug issues. That would help a lot.
Amazing. We'll make sure the team sees it. All right, Pauline, do you have anything else?
No other questions from my side.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much for being here with us, Noah. I think we have maybe one more question in the chat. Yeah. All right. Last question. This will be it. Has any client ever been wowed by the power of AI so much that they've tried V0 or AI themselves?
Yes, I have had that before. I've had a client try to come back to me about a specific feature, as I believe Google Gemini gave her a response back about it. I believe it was to do with Stripe payment integrations. You like ask Google Gemini about Stripe payment integrations, like halfway through the project, and she came back with like how we should be doing it. And I think the feedback there was I just professionally said we should jump in a meeting so I can explain it in a better way. Yeah,
That's
definitely I've had
awesome.
that before. It empowers many people, but I think, as we all know, being a subject matter expert is way more, of a important piece than anything else.
That's amazing. I appreciate you staying a few minutes extra here with us. And thank you for bearing with us on the technical issues. This was a great presentation. Thank you so much, Noah.
Thank you.
All right. I have just a couple of reminders. There's not a session lined up for next week, but we do have a few upcoming. So go look at the events page. You'll find community sessions as well as some other Vercel related events and meetups. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everyone.